Well, he's a New York Times best-selling author. He's also a social media mogul of sorts, but you probably know him best, Gary Vaynerchuk, as the wine guy. In 2006, he took a flip cam and a New York Jets bucket and began taping what some might call a very sort of lowbrow series of wine reviews.
Super duper califragilistic color, so we respect him on that. There's a little too much oak, and you know, when he comes out, it gets a little scary. The oak monster is present in this wine. The best thing I can tell you, and this is popping in my mind, this kind of smells like empty, steamed clam shells. A little bit of nutmeg, pickle juice, eggnog, broccoli, and cabbage.
Very sensitive nose, clearly. Well, those videos were the start of something very big. His website, WineLibraryTV.com, now attracts 100,000 viewers a day, and his business has grown beyond the vine. In 2009, Gary also launched a new company called VaynerMedia. Clients include Fortune 500 companies like Forbes. He's also got the New York Jets, as well as the NHL. Well, Gary joins us here today, live in the studio, to talk more about social media and digital branding. And Gary, we were just talking about this a moment ago, that a lot of companies went gangbusters with the Facebook pages. Sure. and starting a Twitter feed, but you know, a lot of these things have not gone well necessarily, or they've been sort of quasi-abandoned.
You know, I just think that we're in this classic mold right now of keeping up with the Joneses, you know, like top level coming down and saying, where's our Facebook page? What's going on with our Twitter? What are we doing? And people are jumping in. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the sensibility of how to talk to the consumer in an unfiltered way. You know, I think a lot of PR companies and a lot of digital agencies and advertising companies sure know how to talk to the customer when they're pounding a message down their throat through a television or a newspaper or a magazine.
The old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way. But when we're communicating, you know, it's kind of like giving a presentation versus working the room. And I think a lot of people are struggling with it. And I think a lot of brands who think they're jumping in and doing good might be hurting themselves.
I want to get back to that in just a minute, but I want to set up a little context here, okay? Right? Because talking about the old-fashioned way, I mean the wine business, yeah. Right? That's an old-fashioned business. When you first started making those YouTube videos, you had a very unconventional approach, and I'm going to guess here that the idea was to bring wine to the masses. Did you have any idea that those videos would become sort of the cult classics that they have, right? Because they got picked up by Conan O'Brien, you've been on his show, you've been on Jimmy Fallon, a range of shows. A lot of fans out there, they call themselves Vayniacs. Did you have any idea that it would explode beyond wine?
Yeah, so I hate this question because it makes me seem like a big ego guy. I had big hopes. You know, when I started this, everything that's happened, whether it was Conan or the Today Show or the book deals, it was all in my mind. I really felt it was possible for a couple reasons. One, I knew what I was talking about. Two, I knew that nobody was talking to this audience. I felt there was an enormous amount of people that were intimidated by wine, that weren't being talked to. And ultimately, I knew I would work extremely hard. You know, I felt that, you know, when you work 18 hours a day and when you know what you're talking about, good things happen. And I knew I was that committed. And thus, I felt big hopes for it. And I knew that I knew how to market. I'd built a $60 million a year business, you know, the old-fashioned way through marketing. I understand how to build business, so I had hopes.
Now, when, though, did you become sort of a social media expert? I mean, in 2009, early 2009, you and your brother co-founded VaynerMedia.
Yes.
How did you start pitching that you were a social media expert to big Fortune 500 companies?
So I'm a big fan of reactionary business. I think there's way too much put into like 5-year plans or what are we going to do. I like assessing the market. When companies like Disney and the New York Jets started coming and saying, hey, we want to work with you, you know, I said, wait a minute, there's something here. And then when I started understanding the financial dynamics of consulting, and I was like, wait a minute, this might be something feasible. One, I wanted to learn corporate a lot more. I come from a very entrepreneurial place, so we come in and disrupt, and we really understand the trenches of social, which is why we've brought a lot of sensibility and a lot of, you know, impact to the Campbells and the NHL and some of our clients.
Let's talk really quickly. We've only got a little bit of time here. The Thank You Economy, that's a new book coming out next year. This one is geared really, you have written another book, Crush It. This one's for companies, though.
I really wanted to tackle the ROI of social media and why big companies should go out and really address this world. Crush It was super individual. Thank You Economy is much more for the people watching right now. I'm hoping this is the book they give to all their clients.
Thank you, Gary Vaynerchuk, wine guy.